What's going on, guys? And welcome to episode number 3 of this Q&A here that we've been going and doing now for the past couple days. Today we're going to be answering a question from Mariah. I think I spelled your name correctly. If I didn't, please send me an email and let me know. But this question is from Mariah, and this is about more so knowing how much to ask a patient. So I'm going to get to her question and then we'll dive right into it. So Mariah says, "Hey Andrew, glad you made your website and included this option to ask a question." And so if you haven't already known, the website is physicianassistantboards.com. You can ask your question. There's a button or a header over on the menu section that literally just says ask a question. Click it, a little form pops up, and you can send me your questions if that's something that you wish to do. So she says, "Glad you made your website and included this option to ask a question. I'm in my second semester and I'm struggling with the physical diagnosis class. Especially when sent to the hospital to interview a patient, I spend so much time talking to the patient and then I have to ask them all of it, even if it's irrelevant. Let's say they're in there for nausea and I have to do an eye exam. My point is, what are the most important things that have to be covered for sure? Like blood pressure, fever, heart rate, what else? I have about an hour with each patient, but as you can imagine, they're in the hospital for a reason and would rather not be asked or checked the same thing over again once it was done by the actual medical team." So I think there's two parts to this question. Part number one is the fear of your appearance, right? The fear of what you think the patient is perceiving you to be. I think that's number one. Number two is the simple lack of knowledge, and that's going to come with time. So a couple of things here. Don't worry about what the patient thinks of you. Don't worry about the fact that they're going to be asked multiple things by multiple people over and over and over again. You're in a teaching hospital. That is the entire purpose of this. They are not the first patient that you are going to encounter that has been going through this. Every single patient that you encounter in a teaching hospital will be asked multiple times over by multiple types of people, students, residents, attendings, things of that nature. Don't worry about it. You have an hour with the patient. That doesn't mean that you need to go in there and start drilling them with questions. If you legit have 1 hour, which is a crazy amount of time, think about this. When I see patients at my clinic, I typically spend, on average, I don't know if this is good or bad, about 5 to 7 minutes per patient, including paperwork, including note-taking, things of that nature, prescribing. So in real life, you don't have all that much time. So if you have an hour with your patient, honestly, I would say take advantage of that hour, get to know your patient, have a conversation. They're not some being, they're not some alien, they're not out of this world. It's okay to have a conversation with your patient. It's okay to ask questions, inquire about their family, their social life, make them feel comfortable. They're already in the hospital. You don't need to drill them with a questionnaire XYZ just to check off the boxes, right? That's number one. Number two is the lack of knowledge. Listen, you don't need to do these irrelevant exams. If they're there for nausea, you have to have things in your differential, right? So for example, glaucoma can present with nausea. The glaucoma can present with a headache. So sure, if you're thinking glaucoma, you can go ahead and do an eye exam. You can check the pressure, things of that nature. But really, you don't need to you need to do a focused review. Now, if they're being admitted into the hospital, then that's a different story. Sure, it's a good idea to get an initial physical exam to make sure everything is okay. But if they're there with the chief complaint of, let's say they're there for shoulder pain, there's really no point in auscultating the lungs. There's no point in doing percussion over the lung fields. There's no point in doing an abdominal exam if they're there for a possible rotator cuff tear. You have to do a focused review of systems. If the patient is there for a headache, you want to do a focused review. What does a focused review mean? You need to do a complete neurological exam, because one of the indications for sending them to a CT or MRI is if they have focal neurological deficits, right? So you need to do a neural exam. If you're thinking about glaucoma, you have to do an eye exam. Look into the eye, get a pressure. Now, the pressure is controversial. The point of this talk here is not about how to do a detailed exam, but you get my drift. You want to do a focused review And if you need to appease your attendings, I doubt they're going to make you do things that are unnecessary. But if you want to appease them, sure, go ahead and check the boxes off. Focus your review of systems on the chief complaint. How much you need to do is really going to vary. It depends on what they're there for. If they're very sick, if they're there for vague complaints, like they have headache, they have nausea, they have abdominal pain, and it burns when they urinate, well, now you're going to be doing a lot more, as opposed to them coming in because they have shoulder pain and they're unable to extend their arm. And that's going to be on a case-by-case basis. You not knowing is completely normal. It's normal. Nobody knows. You're in your second semester. You really don't know. And all you have to go by is what you read in a textbook. This is your first introduction into speaking with patients. Don't be scared of your patients. They are people just like you and I. At the end of the day, the patient wants to be cared for. They want to know that you understand. They want to know that you're there to help them. That's it. That's your sole job as a student, and to learn medicine along the way, obviously, as well. Not knowing is part of the fun. I mean, look at what I'm doing here. I'm doing Q&A questions. I'm recording. I'm editing. I'm throwing it up there. I didn't go to school for this, but it's fun, and I enjoy it, and I love having this interaction with students. I love the emails. I love the messages back and forth. It's fun. It's new. I don't know what I'm doing half the time with all this, but you figure it out along the way. And with anything worth doing in life, whether it's medicine, whether it's creating these videos, whether it's sending emails, it doesn't even matter what it is. Anything worth doing is going to be difficult. You're not born learning how to do everything. You figure it out as you go. Because if it's important enough for you and you love it enough and you have this passion and desire to continue to do it, you're going to figure it out. Don't stress about not knowing. That's normal. Just go in every single day, go in and learn something new. My best piece of advice for you as a student that's barely starting their clinicals is to learn something new every single day and look at the notes, look at the resident notes. Don't look at the attending notes, because the way the attendings write notes is completely different than the way the residents write notes. The residents, they're not jaded, they're not lazy yet, they're able to be a little bit more thorough because they have to be, yet they have a better grasp of medicine than the medical student, than the PA student, than the NP student. They're kind of right in that middle. So look at their notes, see what they do, shadow them, follow them, ask if you can do the physical exam for them, ask what they need. Being an asset to the team as a whole is going to allow you to be invited into certain opportunities that you otherwise would not have gained access to. So don't worry about not knowing. Focus on what you know. Continue to learn every single day. And don't be scared of what you think the patient is going to perceive of you. Because if you automatically go into that room with the mindset of, this patient is already annoyed, this patient does not want to speak to me, that energy that you feel here, you're going to exude into the patient. Now, this might sound a little weird to some people, but I guarantee you it's true. It's learning how to speak to another human being, which a lot of the medical professionals lack. Don't be this person that's so engrossed in their textbook and doing the checkoffs on the list that you forget that you have an actual human being in front of you. Because if you realize that they're a human being and you can discuss and have a conversation casually, you're going to find it a lot more than the person simply going through the motions. So that's my advice to you. That ends today's video. Today was still kind of a little bit long, 9 minutes. I apologize. We'll get this through. Hopefully I can edit a little bit of stuff in here. And tomorrow will be the last video. If you have any questions, again, send me an email. That's Andrew@physicianassistantboards.com. You can send me a DM over on my personal Instagram, which is AND_REID, or you can send a DM over on the PA Boards Instagram, which by the way is growing. Thank you guys so much. I think we're at 54,000 followers on that platform there. And that's PABOARDS, just PA Boards. Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate it. I'm a little bit tired right now. And actually this weekend, my girlfriend is actually going to be moving in with me. So there's going to be a lot going on this weekend. So if you guys send me emails over the weekend and I don't respond right away, just know it's going to be a hectic one. So thank you guys for all your support. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.